There's so much for the claim of the Gandhi family that the Article 370 is something which is not in sync with what the people of Kashmir want. And if you really were concerned with the people of Kashmir, then why is it that one of your forefathers, and in this case the former Prime Minister Nehru, did not even understand that it was very important at that point of time for Kashmir to become a part of India?
Thank you, Pallavi, for getting us all the details on that story. The story of 2 human sacrifices is getting even darker. CNN News 18 accessed the remand copy of the accused. There are gory details that the mastermind, Shafi, lured Padma with money and choked her with a plastic thread. He then stabbed her, slit her throat before cutting her body into multiple pieces. These are gory details that we're putting out. Viewer discretion, of course, is advised here. The second victim was lured with about 10 lakh rupees. Once again, these are very gory details, the manner in which the victim was tied and then buried. The 3 accused were produced before the court and have been sent to a 14-day judicial custody. My colleague Neetu Regukumar gets us this report on the shocking human sacrifice case that took place in Kerala.
3 individuals who killed humans and may have eaten their flesh. It's a saga of grisly, blood-chilling brutality. The killers allegedly mutilated and killed 2 women in a ritualistic human sacrifice to get rich quick. Police said they may have eaten the flesh of the victims. The women, Rosalind and Padma, were tied up, tortured, choked and repeatedly stabbed. Their breasts were chopped off and blood was allowed to flow out. The remand copy says one of the bodies was cut into 56 pieces. The body parts were found from 3 pits in Kerala's Pathanamthitta. Main conspirator Shafi allegedly trapped the couple, Bhagaval and Leela, into believing that human sacrifice was necessary for their financial condition to improve.
ഇന്നമാതിരി ഭഗത് സിംഗ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു അപ്പോൾ അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെയാണ് നമ്പർ കൊടുത്തത്. ആദ്യം അദ്ദേഹത്തെ വിളിച്ചിട്ടാണ് എന്നെ വിളിച്ചത്. അപ്പോൾ പുള്ളി പറഞ്ഞ് CCTV ക്യാമറ ഉള്ള വീട് അടുത്തുണ്ടോയെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. എൻ്റെ വീട് എൻ്റെ പേര് പറഞ്ഞു. എൻ്റെ നമ്പറും പുള്ളി ഓർത്തു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ ശേഷം അവിടെ നിന്ന് എന്നെ സിയെ വിളിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ വിളിച്ചിട്ട് എന്നോട് ചോദിച്ചു.
Shafi, Bhagaval and Leela were presented in court where they've been remanded to judicial custody.
Motive for the main accused, Shafi, is he's a sexual pervert basically, because in this murder there is an element of gruesome, sadistic injuries made on the body. So it indicates a sexual perversion and a psychopathic kind of behavior on the part of A1 Shafi.
Police say one victim disappeared in June and the other in September. The brutal killings allegedly happened days after their disappearance. Big skeletons tumble out. Shafi allegedly used his wife's Facebook account to look for people in financial trouble. That's where he reportedly came across Bhagavat Singh and Leela, who he later found were interested in human sacrifice.
An investigation into a missing complaint by Kadavandra police has brought out the details of human sacrifice and horrific murder of 2 women. Police is also investigating if there are more victims of the main accused, Shafi. With video journalist Ablash MS in Pathanamthitta, Neetu Regukumar.
Well, shifting our focus and telling you about the CNN News 18's prestigious award ceremony, Indian of the Year was held yesterday. And there were many special moments, including a dance performance by actor Ranveer Singh and none other than Olympic champion Neeraj Chopra. Have a look.
ज़ाका जी फंसा रखा है आपने. चलिए प्ले कीजिए. सर स्टेडियम में करोड़ों आदमी बैठे हो, हम कुछ भी कर देंगे. डांस का काम है. National Day, please.
Namaste, you're on the Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narsuman coming to you live from the CNN News 18 newsroom. And we start with big news on designated terrorist by the government of India and his organization, which is up to no good as far as the integrity and sovereignty of Bharat is concerned. Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. Now, we have got clear information from government sources. This is a CNN News 18 exclusive. We'll go straight to the story. There is a huge amount of evidence against Pannu, which is very, very strong. That's what the government of India maintains. Top intelligence sources telling CNN News 18 that there are strong grounds of Pannu and his organization's involvement in terror-related activities and cases against him under the UAPA. Intel sources are saying that Interpol should have accepted the case evidence and supporting documents, not just that he is doing political activities. The government of India may give one round of appeal yet again to the Interpol, where they should understand the real problem and his involvement. Now, here is what the issue is. Interpol has been so far trying to block or not shown the kind of interest or keenness to go after Gurpatwant Pannu, as has been demanded by the Indian government, despite the government designating him as a wanted person, a person of interest for activities against the integrity and sovereignty of Bharat. The government believes they have enough and more proof and evidence which is strong, which they have placed before the Interpol to make a strong case. But so far, the Interpol has come back and said that this man is only indulging in political activities, and that is not something that the Interpol would want to crack down upon. Now, is there a lobby? Are there other interests which are deliberately trying to block this entire process or deny India a hand at someone who's working against the sovereignty of Bharat? These are questions, but the government is saying that they're going to give it one more push. The authorities are going to give it one more push with the Interpol. Now, this is the exclusive, the evidence against the Sikh for Justice Chief, SFJ Chief, Gurpatwant Pannu. It's actually piling up. There is a strong evidence against SFJ Chief Gurpatwant Pannu given to the Interpol. That's what top government sources, intel sources are telling us. We are also given to understand, our investigations editor Manoj Gupta getting us this input. Evidence of involvement in terror-related activity, cases against Pannu under the UAPA, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Pannu's movements are not about peace. They are not peace-oriented. He's sending money for Supari killings and also activity against the integrity of our country. Close involvement also seen with the ISI, which is obviously the entire fountainhead of operations against India, proxy war against India, emerging out of the enemy state, that is Pakistan. Proof of Pannu's hand seen in big murder cases in Punjab. Cases filed with the NIA being scrutinized by the Home Ministry. Now, this is what the government is now going to do. The authorities are going to once again make a fresh call or a renewed pitch to the Interpol. Accept the case evidence and supporting documents. You need to look beyond Pannu's political activity. You need to see, is the political activity purely a facade? What else is he up to? The kind of messaging that's coming across. Top intel sources are telling this to CNN News 18. This input coming through from our investigations editor Manoj Gupta. Rajinder Kumar, former Special Director, Intelligence Bureau, is also with us. And we also have AP Singh, former Director of the CBI. Namaste. Thank you very, very much. And greetings and compliments of this entire festive season, but it is not so encouraging for Bharat at this point. AP Singh ji, if I may start with you. Why is it that we are unable to convince Interpol that this man is up to no good, especially with respect to Bharat?
So let me start first by saying that I really do not know this Pannu's case very clearly. But I can definitely tell you Interpol's point of view. What are the problems with Interpol? So Interpol has a constitution that strictly forbids any undertakings or any interventions in religious, political, military affairs or human rights affairs. So Interpol has a very limited role. And secondly, Interpol cannot arrest anybody. It does not. It just issues a a red corner notice. It is up to the countries concerned whether they want to arrest or detain a person. So this is not the end all and be all of the situation. Thirdly, when I was the director, if he requested for a they call it red notice, we call it red corner notice. There was never any problem. It was there were very limited requests, but whatever requests we did, we used to get the Interpol to issue the notices. But now what has happened is that in the last few years, a lot of countries, a lot of human rights organizations have complained that countries are using these red corner notices to curb political dissidents, religious activists, human rights activists and journalists. So now they have started having a commission in the Interpol which examines each case. And in some cases they even issue show cause notices to the alleged accused that, listen, we are going to issue a red corner notice against you. What do you have to say? And if their lawyers are able to convince Interpol that, okay, this is a political case or a religious matter, then Interpol does not issue notices. And this is not the first time that Interpol has refused the Indian government. They refused them Lalit Modi, because Lalit Modi alleged that it was a political, there was something political motivated in the request for the red corner notice. And similarly for Zakir Naik also, he was an Islamic preacher. They wanted a red corner notice issued against him. Interpol refused. So they have been refusing, but that does not bind the Indian government from taking action. You can have government to government action. You can ask for an extradition. You know where Mr. Pannu or Panannu is. You know that he's in the US. He is in Canada. Okay, if Canada doesn't cooperate, you can always ask for extradition proceedings with the US. Interpol is only to restrict travel movement. Yes, they can, if the country wants, it can detain, but it's not binding. So basically it's a restriction on your travel movements. If there's an Interpol RCN against you, you will out of fear not travel to any other country except where you're based, because you don't know when which country may detain you or arrest you. So it is just a preventive thing. Interpol is only preventive. It is not, ultimately you have to go government to government. Even if Interpol issues an RCN and some country detains the person, then you have to convince that country, you have to send documents, you have to send officers, and you have to go to their courts, approach them, and then get him extradited. So this has, I mean, you are reporting it as a big setback, but ultimately it has to be government to government.
No, I get it. We're not putting it as a setback, but of course the roadblocks. And you've put matters in perspective, AP Singh ji. The fact is that you're saying that the Interpol intervenes only in certain aspects, and there are reasons why they believe that Pannu's activities don't fall under criminal aspects. They come under religious, political, etc.
Probably Pannu's lawyers must have convinced Interpol that this is a political matter. So they've been able to convince Interpol. So we have to again
convince them otherwise.
As you were saying, that the government is again going to approach Interpol and try to convince them.
Convince
so
them
you
otherwise.
must have the material to back up your case. That is the thing.
Correct. Now that's where we are getting information that the government has enough and more evidence that he is involved even in Supari killing. So there is this entire aspect of him being a lawyer and a political activist and trying to push for a referendum legally is just a facade. Rajinder ji, do we have enough to be able to prove his involvement in activities which are against the very sovereignty of India? This entire Khalistan aspect that he's trying to push, and also in criminal aspect, because we are given to understand he's funded certain Supari killings also. Rajinder Kumar ji, can you hear me? You have to unmute your mic, sir. You have to unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead, please.
I would say that evidence is enough, because he is on camera, he is saying that the Prime Minister Modi should be eliminated and certain actions against India, violent action against India should be taken. He has given support to some of the violent actions against India. So there is sufficient evidence for Interpol to issue the warrant. Let me tell you, the earlier panelist, who is quite senior and much more senior and much. He has been director and member of the board of directors of Interpol. He knows much better, but there is also a fact that Interpol bureaucracy is against India for quite some time, for last 10-15 years. It has always been on the, some of the people in the bureaucracy has been on the payrolls of ISI. And they have been accepting gifts from them, and they have been stonewalling every Indian request for red corner notices. Otherwise, in normal course, if a state, if the Interpol Bureau of the national organization requests for issuance of red corner notice, and if the procedural aspects are complete, the red corner notice is issued. But of late, what we have been watching is for the last 7, 8 years, 10 years, that the Interpol has been using its judgment whether the issuance of notice is justified or not. I don't think Interpol is a judicial authority or it has any powers to look into the notices. So, I feeling that it is deliberate other reason, political reasons that Interpol is doing it, not for this thing. Otherwise, the evidence against Pannu is totally sufficient for evidence is against him. And I would also say that Indian government should also take a matter with the diplomatic level with US government. And before that, we can also, what we have to do is that we can also start extradition proceedings against him after resisting the crime, which I believe it has been resisted. So extradition proceedings should be started. But the thing is that if a red corner notice is generally issued so that the person does not move and do anti-national activities in multiple countries. So anti-Indian activities in multiple countries. So that's why the red corner notice is required. Otherwise, government of India is based in US. The government of India can take up the matter with US and that action can be taken against him.
True. AP Singh ji, I have limited time. I just want to bring your focus to what his activities have been as far as India is concerned. Those who are operating out of our soil to destabilize us from within seem to have figured out how to stay on the right side of the law, still try and work. So they are staying within the system but trying to subvert it. And they are also using the powers vested in them from the soils they are operating on to protect themselves from any kind of action here, while using the roots of people who are present there to try and stir unrest here. So let's look at this entire Khalistan referendum aspect, where Pannu called for a huge gathering in Canada, claimed huge turnout, and those are all people who have strong roots in Punjab. So how do we make international agencies and authorities understand that what they are doing on foreign soil is an act of subversion against the very sovereignty of our country? And this is criminal.
No, I quite get your point. I'm not really in the picture. I was only trying to explain to you what probably is happening in Interpol, because since I have some knowledge about how Interpol works. So I was just explaining that, and I was also trying to tell you that the non-issue of an RCN notice is not the end-all and be-all of things. Ultimately, the Indian government, we know where Pannu is. I just read that he is a lawyer, active lawyer in New York. He is US based. We can, if we all the evidence that you are telling me just now on your channel, I'm sure the Indian government is going to take it up with the US and get him extradited. I don't think there's a problem, especially if he has made, he has asked for the assassination of the PM. It's on television. I don't think why. Okay, yes, it's good that we should go to Interpol, but more important is to get him extradited from the US. And I don't think that US would tolerate any kind of this kind of nonsense.
I just quickly want to ask you, because there are videos of his on record where he is talking about carving out a portion of our country, which he is calling as Khalistan, which he is saying that this needs to be freed because this is not never part of India. These are all videos of his which are evident there, and he's also doling out, announcing huge amounts of rewards and monies, and he's saying that this is a political referendum. Is that not somewhere a criminal act? Mr. AP Singh, and are there ways for the government to turn around and say, if somebody were to sit and say, I'm going to carve out Texas, Georgia, etc. out of the Americas, will America be able to take kindly if India were to give shelter to a person like that? Is it possible to make a case like that? Is it more diplomatic, or does it come into the realm of criminal and legal proceedings?
No, as I explained to you that Interpol has a commission which looks into it. They would have probably issued a show cause notice also to this Pannu, and he's been able to convince them that this is, as I told you right in the beginning, the constitution says that Interpol is not to interfere in any political, religious, military activities. They are not to intervene. So probably they're looking at it from that point of view. But the General Assembly of the Interpol is meeting in India next, I think in October. And CBI is the host, and I'm sure that everybody from the President to the Secretary General of the Interpol, they're all going to be in New Delhi for I think 3 or 4 days. So I'm sure the Government of India will take it up, the CBI will take this matter up, and I'm sure it will get resolved. The whole of Interpol is going to be here in another 10 days or 15 days, I think.
Yes, soon after Diwali is when they are expected to be here. That's what we are given to understand, the dates towards the end of this month.
The entire Interpol is going to be here. It's the annual General Assembly meeting, which India is hosting for after many years.
Let us hope that we are able to
make
a strong case. I'm sure this
subject will be taken up. Yeah, I think so. Why not? And everybody is going to be here, from the President to the Secretary General of the Interpol. So I'm sure we are going to make a very strong case, and I'm sure we'll be able to convince them.
Sure. Nanji,
Thank
Interpol, it is not the board of director or the president who exercise the executive powers. There are certain other people who control the Interpol machinery and Interpol working. Those people do not have a favorable view towards India. That they have been getting benefits from our enemy country, and that's why they have always been creating problems for us in the matter of anti-terrorist activities.
Let's hope we are able to tide over that. Rajinder ji and AP Singh ji, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for your time. We're going to take a very short break. Stay with us.
रिकॉर्ड बनाया है एंड इन्होंने डायमंड लीग टाइटल जीत के भी हैज बिकम द फर्स्ट इंडियन एथलीट एवर टू अचीव दैट। नीरज, द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन आई वांट टू आस्क यू इज कि ओलंपिक्स मेडल जीतने के बाद ऐसा लगता है कि आपकी पूरी लाइफ की जो तपस्या है वो पूरी हो गई है, लेकिन उस साल के बाद आपने और भी मेडल्स जीते हैं, एंड जैसे मैंने बोला वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप्स और डायमंड लीग का, तो वो मोटिवेशन आपकी डिप नहीं हुई? उस लेवल तक कैसे रखा आपने अपने आप को?
नमस्ते सभी को और थैंक यू इस अवार्ड के लिए। तो बिल्कुल मेरे सामने तो बहुत सारे ऐसे एथलीट हैं, मैंने काफ़ी एथलीट्स को देखा है कि उनसे सीखने को मिलता है। वो ऑलरेडी जीत के फिर भी मेहनत करते रहते हैं, फिर जीतते हैं। तो टाइटल को दोहराना मैं मानता हूँ कि सबसे बड़ी बात है, और वो अपने आप में मतलब तभी आप एक खिलाड़ी जो एक लेजेंड कहलवाते हैं वहाँ तक आते हैं। अब लोग बोल देते हैं तो मैं इतना मानता नहीं हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि मैं उस कैटेगरी में अभी तक नहीं आया हूँ। तो मैं बहुत मेहनत कर रहा हूँ कि अपना एथलेटिक्स का और इंडिया का देश में नाम करूँ।
आपने मुझे ओलंपिक्स के बाद बोला था कि एक मेडल जीतने से कुछ नहीं होता, 3-4 मेडल बार बार जीतोगे तो आप लेजेंड कहलाते हो और फिर दुनिया याद रखेगी। अनुराग जी, ये जज्बा है नीरज का।
देखिए, तो जीतने वाले को पता चलता है कि मेहनत होती कितनी है, और खुशी इस बात की है कि मेडल जीतने के बाद भी पांव जमीन पर टिके हुए हैं और मेडल जीतने की तैयारी किए हुए हैं। यही इनकी सबसे बड़ी खासियत है, और इसलिए पूरे देश को इनके ऊपर गर्व है।
आपने क्या गिफ्ट्स खरीदे ओलंपिक्स के बाद? आप बोल रहे थे कुछ जूते खरीदने थे आपको।
वो तो खरीदते तो काफी कुछ है, लेकिन डालने का टाइम नहीं मिलता क्योंकि पूरा ट्रेनिंग में ही रहते हैं। तो
नहीं, वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप के बाद क्या लिया?
हाँ बिल्कुल, जूते भी कपड़े सब कुछ खरीदते हैं, लेकिन 3-4 बार अब आज आया हूँ तो कुछ आज डाल लिया। अब ये पैंट है, ये भी पिछली बार खरीदी थी, यही चल रही है।
So that is why Neeraj is unique, because I have not seen an athlete जिसने Olympic gold medal athletics में जीता हो, फिर भी वो बिल्कुल son of the soil वाली जो बात है जो आप कह रहे हैं ना अनुराग जी।
3-4 सफेद कुर्ते पजामे सिलवा लो, सब बार एक जैसे ही लगोगे।
कुर्ते पजामे भी है सर, लेकिन वो अभी वेट बढ़ जाता है, फिर वो टाइट हो जाते हैं, तो ट्रेनिंग चलती है फिर से। नहीं, एथलीट की लाइफ यही है कि हाँ शॉपिंग वगैरह करना अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन टाइम नहीं मिलता वो डालने, पूरा अपना ट्रेनिंग में रहते हैं।
अनुराग जी, एक चीज जो नीरज करना चाहते हैं वो है 90 मीटर का मार्क अचीव। आप मेरे ख्याल से 0.04 से रह गए थे इस साल।
06, हाँ जी
06। तो उसके लिए आप इनको क्या कहना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि वो 90 मीटर का मार्क फॉर एन इंडियन जैवलिन थ्रो and for an Indian athlete to achieve would be humongous. And those who understand sports, Olympics, javelin throw will know that.
मेरे कहने से कुछ नहीं होता है। जब कोई लक्ष्य निर्धारित कर लिया गया है तो नीरज चोपड़ा आज एक ऐसा वो नाम बन चुके हैं कि वो लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति भी कर ही लेंगे, पूरे भारत को विश्वास है। लेकिन इसके लिए कोई दबाव नहीं होना चाहिए, और मैं आशा करता हूं देश का मीडिया भी उस तरह का दबाव पैदा ना करे, क्योंकि देश के प्रधानमंत्री जब कहते हैं कि अपनी बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस दो, रिजल्ट क्या आएगा उसकी चिंता मत करो
जी।
So let's keep our fingers crossed and let's pray that he's going to achieve that.
So along with the 90-meter walk, I think you want to repeat your Olympic gold as well. And that World Championship gold is also something?
बिल्कुल, मतलब अगर हाँ एथलेटिक्स की अगर हम वर्ल्ड में सभी इवेंट्स की बात करें तो ऑलमोस्ट सभी में मतलब गोल्ड हो चुका है, सिल्वर वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में बस। तो इसका कोई प्रेशर नहीं है। और 90 मीटर का मैं पहले सोचता था कि मुझे मार्क वो अचीव करना है, लेकिन अभी मेरा मानना है कि आप कंसिस्टेंट हो और उस सिचुएशन में जहाँ पे बाकी भी एथलीट इतने वर्ल्ड क्लास एथलीट होते हैं और हम वहाँ पे उनके बीच में अगर वहाँ पे गोल्ड जीत लें, क्योंकि ऐसे बहुत सारे एथलीट्स हैं जो मुझसे बेस्ट हैं ऑलरेडी वर्ल्ड में, लेकिन उस सिचुएशन में हम कैसे उस प्रेशर को हैंडल करते हैं और कैसे परफॉर्म करते हैं, क्योंकि वेदर का, हवा का बहुत फ़र्क पड़ता है हमारे गेम में। तो मुझे लगता है कि वो सबसे अच्छी चीज़ है। मैं बस अपने आप को कंसिस्टेंट रखना चाहता हूँ और 90 मीटर का मार्क भी हो ही जाएगा। हो जाता वो भी मैं लाइन से आधा मीटर पीछे था, अब तो अगली बार थोड़ा आगे से फेंक दूंगा।
थैंक यू।
चाहे महिला हो या एथलीट हो, दिमाग पे गोल्ड ही रहता है।
Thank you so much. Anurag ji, stay with me. Neeraj, thanks a lot. A big round of applause, please, for our Indian of the Year sports. I don't think it comes anything bigger than this.
It is said that an athlete cannot run with his money in his pockets. He must run with dreams in his heart and determination in his head. These hopes and dreams have literally brought gold to India. Women and men in the world of sports have made sure that the tricolor flew high at leading international championships and tournaments.
Very rightly said, Anusha. It is in fact one of the most shining phases of sports in India. That story is really living it up. All thanks to our sporting gems and their insatiable drive to succeed. As we salute their indomitable spirit, here's a look at those vying for CNN News 18 Indian of the Year Sports.
And the nominees are: after making history at last year's Olympics, the man with the golden arm became the first Indian ever to win a silver at the World Championships in July this year. He followed this incredible feat with a Diamond League's final javelin title, becoming the first ever Indian athlete to do so. Neeraj Chopra. He's the new poster boy of Indian badminton. He's won a bronze at the World Championships, made the final of the All England Open, and was also part of the Indian team that won a historic first Thomas Cup title. Lakshya Sen. She's the new queen of Indian boxing. She was crowned the world flyweight champion after winning gold at the 2022 World Boxing Championships. She proved her mettle again by clinching her first Commonwealth Games gold in Birmingham. Nikhat Zareen. He's the 5th youngest grandmaster at the age of 16. The chess prodigy defeated current world champion Magnus Carlsen. In fact, he went on to beat Carlson thrice in 6 months and thrice in straight games at the FTX Crypto Cup. Ramesh Babu Pragnananda. This table tennis star managed to turn back the clock, and how? At the age of 40, he produced his best Commonwealth Games performance 16 years after his debut at the Games. He won 4 medals, 3 golds and a silver, including the men's singles title. Achant Sharat Kamal.
It's a privilege and honor to have amongst us Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports, Shri Anurag Thakur. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for the Honorable Minister. I now invite the Honorable Minister on stage along with our Managing Editor, Zaka Jacob.
Namaskar. A very good evening to all of you. So the category is sports, as mentioned earlier, and Indian of the Year 2022 award goes to, any guess?
Any guesses from the audience? Anyone? Can we hear the name louder, please? Sir.
So Indian of the Year 2022 for sports goes to none other than Neeraj Chopra.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Neeraj Chopra.
I also welcome on stage our Senior Associate Editor, Shivani Gupta.
Can we have a loud round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, the only Indian athlete to win an Olympic gold medal, the one and only Neeraj Chopra.
121 साल लग गए। 121 साल में किसी ने एथलेटिक्स में गोल्ड नहीं जीता था। 121 साल के इंतजार वाली तालियां तो बजाओ जरा।
Back on the Nation at 5 with news just coming in from Pakistan, where again a Hindu girl has been kidnapped, forcefully abducted. This girl from Chanda Mehraj has been kidnapped in the Hyderabad region. Her name is Chanda Mehraj and she's been kidnapped from Hyderabad region in Pakistan. According to her parents, she was kidnapped from the Fateh Chowk area of Hyderabad when she was coming back home. Just yet another case of abduction and forced conversions of Hindu girls that is only rising over in Pakistan. A police complaint has been lodged, but so far there has been no trace or recovery of this young girl. Now, some numbers that will shock you, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite literally a hell for minority girls, especially Hindu girls. Abduction and forced conversion of Hindu girls rising in Pakistan. More than 10 girls have been abducted and raped in 2022 itself. In 2021, the United States had placed Pakistan on a list of nations of particular concern for religious freedom violations. And the Catholic news site, Alicia, reported that in 2020, the number of forced conversions cases had risen to more than 2,000. Jay Ahuja, president of Nimittakam NGO in Jaipur with us. He's been working with a lot of the West Park Hindu population. Jay Ahuja, you have your friends over in Pakistan who are looking at this, but the situation is only deteriorating. दिन ब दिन ये परिस्थिति और खराब होती जा रही है।
जी आनंद जी, अभी पिछले साल इमरान खान की सरकार जब थी तो इन्होंने एक जॉइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी बनाई थी। माइनॉरिटी की बच्चियों के ऊपर बार बार आवाजें उठती थी पूरी दुनिया में। उस कमेटी का ये मानना था कि प्रतिदिन 3 बच्चियां किडनैप होती हैं और बहुत सारे केसेस अनरिपोर्टेड हैं। अनफॉर्चुनेटली भारत में लैंड सेटलमेंट लॉ आए हैं। यहाँ पे गरीब लोगों को, अन्य अन्य जातियों को, सभी समाज के वर्गों को लैंड अलॉटमेंट हुआ था, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में कोई लैंड सेटलमेंट एक्ट नहीं आया। तो वहां का दलित और ट्राइबल हिंदू बॉन्डेड लेबर है। उनकी हैसियत नहीं है अपने गांव से निकल के पुलिस थाने में जाके उन वडेरे जागीरदारों के खिलाफ जो स्टेट स्पॉन्सर क्राइम करते हैं उनके खिलाफ रिपोर्ट दर्ज कराएं। तो अनरिपोर्टेड केसेस की संख्या रिपोर्टेड केसेस की तुलना में बहुत ज्यादा है। पाकिस्तान की पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी ये मानती है कि 3 बच्चियां रोज किडनैप होती हैं, हिंदू और सिख बच्चियां। तो 21वीं शताब्दी में पूरी दुनिया आंख बंद करके इन निरीह बच्चियों की किडनैपिंग और फोर्स कन्वर्जन देख रही है और उस पर कोई बात नहीं कर रहा है। और उससे भी खराब बात यह कि ये ज्यादातर बच्चियां माइनर हैं। पाकिस्तान के लॉ के हिसाब से 18 वर्ष 18 years इज द एज फॉर, but if a girl from other community, non-Muslim girl, got kidnapped and forcefully converted and married to a Muslim guy, तो फिर उसका अपने नॉन मुस्लिम काफिर मदर फादर के साथ में रिलेशन हमेशा के लिए खत्म हो जाता है। जुल्फिकार अली भुट्टो के टाइम एक अमेंडमेंट आया था कि जब भी शरिया और पाकिस्तान का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट करेगा तो शरिया सुपीरियर रहेगा। इसलिए न तो वो बच्चियां हमें वापस मिलती हैं, ना ही हमारी कोई सुनवाई होती है, ना हमारी इन बच्चियों के बारे में कोई बात करता है। और पाकिस्तान में ये कह के बात खत्म कर दी जाती है कि शरिया लॉ बच्ची की प्यूबर्टी से उसकी मैच्योरिटी मानता है, न कि उसकी एज से। तो न तो कोई बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट काम आता है, ना कोई स्कूल के डॉक्यूमेंट काम आते हैं, और हमारी बच्चियां हमेशा के लिए इस नर्क में खो जाती हैं। और बहुत केसेस में उनको वैश्यावृत्ति में धकेल दिया जाता है। ऐसे भी बहुत सारे उदाहरण सामने आए हैं कि उनको अल्टीमेटली प्रोस्टिट्यूशन में सेक्स स्लेव की तरह बेच दिया जाता है। तो ये रोज का काम है। जब हम यहाँ पे अच्छी जिंदगी जी रहे होते हैं तो हमारी 3-4 बच्चियां रोज वहाँ किडनैप हो रही होती है। आनंद जी
जी, ये एक और खबर आ रही है, ये दरिंदगी की सारी हदें पार कर रहे हैं वहाँ पाकिस्तान में। दैट्स व्हाट वी गिव, इट जस्ट लुक्स लाइक shocking case against minorities. A 13-year-old Sikh boy Sajil Singh has been gang raped in Jacobabad in Pakistan. Sindh police has arrested the accused Mohsin Jamali and Takri Lashari, but later they managed to escape from the civil lines police station in Jacobabad. तो यहाँ तो ये बच्चों को छोड़ते ही नहीं है। ये दरिंदगी यहाँ चल रही है। जय, आप सिख कम्युनिटी के साथ भी काम करते हैं, वहाँ पर माइनॉरिटीज की हालत इतनी खराब है। एंड यू आर सेइंग दैट द कोर्ट्स आर आल्सो पावरलेस बिकॉज बिटवीन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड कोर्ट्स एंड द शरीयत it's mandated that the latter prevails. But these are brutes. How can they be allowed to get away with such kind of behavior?
जी आनंद भाई, I have some documents to your team. We are reporting these cases on every day basis. So कुछ months का मैंने recent data आपकी टीम के साथ शेयर किया है। लैंड ग्रैबिंग, मंदिरों को तोड़ना, गुरुद्वारों की जमीनों पे और गुरुद्वारों पे कब्जा कर लेना, बच्चियों के साथ में रेप होना, रैंसम के लिए लोगों को उठा लेना, ये हिंदू सिख कम्युनिटी के साथ में कंसिस्टेंसी से होने वाली वारदात है। बच्चियों का केस सिर्फ एक पक्ष है, बाकी 360 डिग्री हमला जारी है और कोई भी एंगल ऐसा नहीं है जिस पर हमारे लोगों के साथ में वहाँ जबरदस्त एट्रोसिटीज ना हो रही हो। हर एंगल पे वहाँ का पूरा समाज इसको शांति से देखता है और कोई हमारी आवाज नहीं उठाता। आजाद सिंधु देश वाले बीच बीच में थोड़ी सी मदद की कोशिश करते हैं, कुछ बलोच रिबेल्स भी मदद की कोशिश करते हैं। उनका मानना है कि हिंदू समाज और सिख समाज यहाँ के ओरिजिनल मालिक हैं, तो उनके साथ में इतना बर्बर व्यवहार हमारे यहाँ पर हो रहा है मुल्ला मौलवियों के प्रीचिंग्स के बाद में, ये ठीक नहीं है। लेकिन उन विचारों की भी चलती नहीं है, तो जितनी वो मदद कर पाते हैं करते हैं प्रयास, लेकिन ज्यादा कुछ उससे हो पा। लेकिन मैं फिर भी उनको आपके माध्यम से थैंक्स बोलना चाहूंगा कि निरी बच्चे बच्चियों और निरी लोगों के लिए आप कम से कम बात तो कर रहे हो, कुछ थोड़ा बहुत प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हो और उनकी मदद करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो। बाकी कोई भी एंगल आनंद जी ऐसा नहीं है जिस एंगल पे हमारे लोगों पे वहाँ एट्रोसिटी ना होती हो। हर तरीके की मतलब ईश निंदा कानून जो है ब्लेस्फेमी लॉ, उससे तो रोज झूठी एफआईआर दर्ज होती है। कोई भी आदमी आएगा उनकी किताब के पन्ने फाड़ के आपके घर के बाहर फेंकेगा, फिर मॉब आएगा, आपके घर को जला देंगे, आपकी दुकान को जला देंगे, आपके पूरे जीवन को तबाह कर देगा।
पर तो फिर इनकी जो ये इस तरह की बर्बरता है, इसको दरिंदगी है, इसको यूएन पे भी हाईलाइट करने की जरूरत है। वहां बैठ के पाकिस्तान बड़ी दुहाइयां देता है कि हम तो ह्यूमन राइट्स को प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं।
हम बराबर यूएनएचसीआर को टैग करके ट्वीट कर रहे हैं, डेटा शेयर कर रहे हैं, मेल्स कर रहे हैं, अपने रिप्रेजेंटेटिव वहां भेजने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। कराची जमशेद टाउन के एक्स मेयर हैं अभी आरिफ जाकिया, भी यूएन गए, वहां पे उन्होंने प्रयास किया इन बातों को उठाने का। लेकिन दुर्भाग्य की बात यह कि हमारी सरकार के स्तर पे कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है ऐसा रिमार्केबल काम। जब पाकिस्तान रोज हमारे देश के बारे में बकवास करता है, तो ऐसा नंगा क्राइम जो पाकिस्तान की सोसाइटी में माइनॉरिटीज के खिलाफ हो रहा है, उसके बारे में कभी हमारा देश बात नहीं करता। जबकि भारत में मुसलमान भाई बहन बहुत सुख से, शांति से, आनंद से रह रहे हैं, बहुत प्रॉस्पर हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं, लिख रहे हैं। और वो पाकिस्तान के लोग रोज कहते हैं भारत के मुसलमानों पे अत्याचार हो रहा है। अरे भाई, कौन सा अत्याचार हो रहा है? कोई एक बच्ची उठाई हो तो बताओ, किसी की लैंड ग्रैबिंग की हो तो बताओ, किसी की मस्जिद पे कब्जा किया हो तो बताओ, किसी के साथ कुछ गलत किया हो तो बताओ। तो हम कुछ नहीं करते हैं, तब भी पाकिस्तान पूरी दुनिया में घूम घूम के ऐसे बकवास
नहीं, इसको
और वो रोज
इस
करते हैं।
इस साल
पहली
बार जम्मू कश्मीर की असली बात जो है, जो the real face of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir has been exposed this time around. Now, going forward, the story of the West Pak Hindus and their plight, and of course minorities in Pakistan, should also be told to the world via the platform of the UN. That's what we should endeavor to do. Jai Ahuja, thank you very much for your time. We're going to take a very short break. Stay with us.
Namaskar. A very good evening to all of you. So the category is sports, as mentioned earlier, and Indian of the Year 2022 award goes to, any guess?
Any guesses from the audience? Anyone? Can we hear the name louder, please? Sir.
So Indian of the Year 2022 for sports goes to none other than Neeraj Chopra.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Neeraj Chopra.
I also welcome on stage our Senior Associate Editor, Shivani Gupta.
Can we have a loud round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, the only Indian athlete to win an Olympic gold medal, the one and only Neeraj Chopra.
121 साल लग गए। 121 साल में किसी ने एथलेटिक्स में गोल्ड नहीं जीता था। 121 साल के इंतजार वाली तालियां तो बजाओ जरा।
And let's not forget, Neeraj has not rested on his laurels from Olympics. ओलंपिक्स का गोल्ड मेडल 121 साल के बाद जीतने के बाद उन्होंने वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में सिल्वर मेडल जीत के एक और इंडियन रिकॉर्ड बनाया है। एंड इन्होंने डायमंड लीग टाइटल जीत के भी has become the first Indian athlete ever to achieve that. Neeraj, the first question I want to ask you is कि ओलंपिक्स मेडल जीतने के बाद ऐसा लगता है कि आपकी पूरी लाइफ की जो तपस्या है वो पूरी हो गई है, लेकिन उस साल के बाद आपने और भी मेडल्स जीते हैं, एंड जैसे मैंने बोला वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप्स और डायमंड लीग का, तो वो मोटिवेशन आपकी डिप नहीं हुई? उस लेवल तक कैसे रखा आपने अपने आप को?
नमस्ते सभी को और थैंक यू इस अवार्ड के लिए। तो बिल्कुल मेरे सामने तो बहुत सारे ऐसे एथलीट हैं, मैंने काफ़ी एथलीट्स को देखा है कि उनसे सीखने को मिलता है। वो ऑलरेडी जीत के फिर भी मेहनत करते रहते हैं, फिर जीतते हैं। तो टाइटल को दोहराना मैं मानता हूँ कि सबसे बड़ी बात है, और वो अपने आप में मतलब तभी आप एक खिलाड़ी जो एक लेजेंड कहलाते हैं वहाँ तक आते हैं। अब लोग बोल देते हैं तो मैं इतना मानता नहीं हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि मैं उस कैटेगरी में अभी तक नहीं आया हूँ। तो मैं बहुत मेहनत कर रहा हूँ कि अपना एथलेटिक्स का और इंडिया का देश में नाम करूँ।
आपने मुझे ओलंपिक्स के बाद बोला था कि एक मेडल जीतने से कुछ नहीं होता, 3-4 मेडल बार बार जीतोगे तो आप लेजेंड कहलाते हो और फिर दुनिया याद रखेगी। अनुराग जी, ये जज्बा है नीरज का।
देखिए, तो जीतने वाले को पता चलता है कि मेहनत होती कितनी है, और खुशी इस बात की है कि मेडल जीतने के बाद भी पांव जमीन पर टिके हुए हैं और मेडल जीतने की तैयारी किए हुए हैं। यही इनकी सबसे बड़ी खासियत है।
Well, there has been a political fight that is also brewing around the decision that was announced by the Home Minister Amit Shah that very soon the MBBS and our courses would also be taught in non-English languages but in Bharatiya Bhashas. So in regional languages including Hindi. So a large part of the Hindi belt would have medical education which would be imparted in Hindi. Now this is again set the entire debate going on social media and otherwise with the various angles of language or Hindi imposition coming into play and others saying that what is wrong if the medium of instruction is English. But the larger thought process being that there is a huge basket of people or base of people who do not have access to modern education because of the limitations of English imposition. So why not use Bharatiya Bhashas to try and impart education, not just traditional but modern education, but also ensure that the opportunity is expanded to a larger base so we can have more doctors in rural India, in the northern belt and across various regions when they learn these various subjects in the language that they can understand and speak. So that's where the entire debate comes through. Ratan Sharda and we also have with us Sumansi Raman at this point. Ratan Sharda ji, where do you stand on this entire decision? The formal announcement is going to be made sometime tomorrow. We are given to understand there are reactions that have come in from the Madhya Pradesh Education Minister too. But where do you stand on this, Ratan Sharda ji?
See, let us move beyond the politics of it. I think we just unnecessarily politicize everything. I remember a case of 1990s when a doctor did his MD in Hindi, thesis was presented. My MCI refused to accept it because it was in Hindi. Then the RSS senior person at that time, Professor Rajendra Singh, who later became RSS chief, fought along with him with the government departments. He went right up to the president. He met Mr. L.M. Singhvi, the most senior lawyer at that time, the father of Mr. Abhishek Singhvi now. And he finally brought to a case where the MCA agreed the terminologies were listed in Hindi and he got his MD. I do not understand if somebody can express himself or herself better in Hindi, then what is the objection? Secondly, we had very rich medical history, right, in Sanskrit, in Malayalam, in nearly every language, Ayurveda, etc. And so are we not rich enough to handle these terminologies in Hindi? And if a person doesn't know English, does it mean that he or she cannot become a doctor? I would say more the merrier. Let more languages join this, get involved in this. So people from the rural areas, people who don't have access to English language should be able to do a wonderful job because they're skilled people. How did the earlier bone setters were able to set the bones without any education because they were skilled in that? Rather than killing the skill, we should encourage it by giving the language in which they flourish. Language is only a media. It is not the guarantee of a good education in medical. We know what kind of education they are getting now.
No, and it has been deliberately made that you are only educated if you speak English. Now that is a misnomer, and that is a very elitist way of looking at it, Sumansi Raman. Yes, we may be having this debate. We may be having this debate in English, but that doesn't mean that we should not be learning our own local languages or learning reading, writing in our local languages. Charaka Samhita, why should it have to be translated into English, or Ayurveda need to be translated into English to be taught? It can be taught in regional languages and our Indian languages, Bharatiya Bhashas.
Anand, first of all, this is not part of a language debate. I find that fairly juvenile. This is about practicality of the actual education process. There are thousands of terms which at this point of time in medicine which are in the English language as imparted to doctors undergoing training for MBBS in India. Many of them don't exist in the regional languages. So yesterday, in fact, I had out 9 reasons why this is a completely harebrained idea. And this is not about got nothing to do with politics. Look, every major international journal which puts out the latest updates does it in English. Almost every research projects which are undertaken in different parts of the world, even those who do the research in some of their native languages, do manage to publish in English. Now, the point I'm making is very simple. If hypothetically, let us say a doctor who is learned MBBS in Hindi with a particular medical term refers a patient to some other part of the country. How does the doctor even understand what has been said? I mean, where do you create a medical library of the latest textbooks? How do you keep them updated? It is a nightmare, and I think that
why should it be a nightmare? If researchers, like you just said, Suman, if there are researchers abroad who are publishing what their local language work in local language into English, why can't these journals which are now accessed in English be republished in local languages so that there are more people who can read, write, and learn these terms?
At last count,
terms which are
journals, you can translate them, Anand. There are only at last count. Among the more reputed journals itself, there are about 2,000 to 3,000 journals, and many of them put out publications every month or every 3 months. You can translate all of them every month and create jobs. Maybe it will be an employment kind of project.
No, but you can at least have your own curriculum, right? The curriculum of MBBS. Why can't it be done? Why can't it be developed? See, it used to be there, now it has been removed.
I will ask. Look,
let me ask you. So are you trying to say that a student in Tamil Nadu needs to learn English to become a doctor? Cannot study medicine in Tamil? Are you saying a resident of Gujarat needs to know English to become a doctor? Cannot become a doctor just by knowing Gujarati?
Anand, please understand the logic of this. You are not treating a Gujarati or a Tamilian or a Marathi. You're treating a human body, for God's sake. And
correct.
To know
So if that is the case, then to learn how to treat the human body, do you need to know a language? You need to know English to learn how to treat a human body. Is that what you are trying to say? That unless you know English, you cannot treat a human body, or you cannot become a doctor? Is that what you are trying to say?
I am sorry. You are not even understanding the basic of this.
So you are saying that why
you need to know the medical terms. You need to know the medical terms. If you're saying
sir, those terms will exist, and those terminologies will be developed in local language. So let's do it. Let's do it if it has not been done. That's what I'm trying to say. Ratan Sharda ji, final word. Ratan Sharda ji. Sir, there are so many words of our language which have been replaced by English, and they have been falsely replaced.
If you have a fracture, so we can do that.
Let me ask you, Mr. Suman Raman, are you trying to say that a student in Kerala or in Tamil Nadu or in Karnataka or any part of our country needs to know English to become a doctor? They don't need to have good education or smart brain. They just need to know English. Otherwise, there is no way they can. So we cannot impart knowledge in local languages. 1 minute. Ratan Sharda ji, are you trying to?
I don't have camera, but I think he's Dr. Sumant Raman. He used the word juvenile. I could turn around and use the same word for his arguments. Does it deny that Japanese, Russians, French, and Israelis were wonderful? They have wonderful medical research.
They learned in English and then changed.
I didn't stop you, Mr. Raman. I didn't stop you.
He didn't interrupt you, Suman Raman. So let him speak.
Please don't be so agitated. You are not going to be asked to learn Hindi to do your tree. Sorry, that's not for you. It is for people who have not been able to take advantage of the scientific advances. So I talked about Japanese, Russians, French, Israelis, some of the most wonderful people with their medical knowledge, science knowledge, having won most Nobel Prizes than non-Englishmen put together. Come on. So secondly, I already gave an example of 1990s when entire bibliography, entire terminology was translated and accepted. And we have such rich languages with all the medical terminology already there. I remember I was in school, I had every word for Indian, human body, human, physiology. Well, I never felt the need for English. So don't try.
It was there. I have limited time. I can only say that in our Bharatiya Bhashas, every single word or every single terminology that makes the English lexicon, there is an Paryayavachi or an equivalent to it. It's ironical that the English language does not have the apt Paryayavachis for a lot of the words that we use in Bharatiya Bhashas. That's the reality, sir. I've got to pause there. And you cannot tell a person that you cannot become a doctor till you learn English. That's so unfair to anybody. We should make education, information available in all the languages in our country that are largely spoken, the official languages at least. And in every region, you need to open the doors there. And if there is an effort that needs to be taken, let's collectively do it. That should be the approach, rather than saying, no, why take the effort? You first learn English and then you can think of becoming a doctor, engineer, or otherwise. Thank you very much. We're going to take a very, very short break. Stay with us.
टिके हुए हैं और मेडल जीतने की तैयारी किए हुए हैं। यही इनकी सबसे बड़ी खासियत है और इसलिए पूरे देश को इनके ऊपर गर्व है।
आपने क्या गिफ्ट्स खरीदे ओलंपिक्स के बाद? आप बोल रहे थे कुछ जूते खरीदने थे आपको।
वो तो खरीदते तो काफी कुछ है, लेकिन डालने का टाइम नहीं मिलता क्योंकि पूरा ट्रेनिंग में ही रहते हैं। तो
नहीं, वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप के बाद क्या लिया?
हाँ बिल्कुल, जूते भी कपड़े सब कुछ खरीदते हैं, लेकिन 3-4 बार अब आज आया हूँ तो कुछ आज डाल लिया। अब ये पैंट है, ये भी पिछली बार खरीदी थी, यही चल रही है।
So that is why Neeraj is unique, because I have not seen an athlete जिसने ओलंपिक गोल्ड मेडल एथलेटिक्स में जीता हो, फिर भी वो बिल्कुल सन ऑफ द सॉइल वाली जो बात है जो आप कह रहे हैं ना अनुराग जी।
3-4 सफेद कुर्ते पजामे सिलवा लो, सब बार एक जैसे ही लगोगे।
ये कुर्ते पजामे भी है सर, लेकिन वो अभी वेट बढ़ जाता है, फिर वो टाइट हो जाते हैं, तो ट्रेनिंग चलती है फिर से। नहीं, एथलीट की लाइफ यही है कि हाँ शॉपिंग वगैरह करना अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन टाइम नहीं मिलता वो डालने, पूरा अपना ट्रेनिंग में रहते हैं।
अनुराग जी, एक चीज जो नीरज करना चाहते हैं वो है 90 मीटर का मार्क अचीव। आप मेरे ख्याल से 0.04 से रह गए थे इस साल।
06, हाँ जी
06। तो उसके लिए आप इनको क्या कहना चाहेंगे? क्योंकि वो 90 मीटर का मार्क फॉर एन इंडियन जैवलिन थ्रो एंड फॉर इंडियन एथलीट टू अचीव वुड बी ह्यूमंगस, एंड दोज हु अंडरस्टैंड स्पोर्ट्स, ओलंपिक्स, जैवलिन थ्रो विल नो दैट।
मेरे कहने से कुछ नहीं होता है। जब कोई लक्ष्य निर्धारित कर लिया गया है तो नीरज चोपड़ा आज एक ऐसा वो नाम बन चुके हैं कि वो लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति भी कर ही लेंगे, पूरे भारत को विश्वास है। लेकिन इसके लिए कोई दबाव नहीं होना चाहिए और मैं आशा करता हूं देश का मीडिया भी उस तरह का दबाव पैदा ना करे, क्योंकि देश के प्रधानमंत्री जब कहते हैं कि अपनी बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस दो, रिजल्ट क्या आएगा उसकी चिंता मत करो
जी।
So let's keep our fingers crossed and let's pray that he's going to achieve that.
So along with the 90-meter walk, I think you want to repeat your Olympic gold as well. And that World Championship gold is also something?
बिल्कुल, मतलब अगर हाँ एथलेटिक्स की अगर हम वर्ल्ड में सभी इवेंट्स की बात करें तो ऑलमोस्ट सभी में मतलब गोल्ड हो चुका है, सिल्वर वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप में बस। तो इसका कोई प्रेशर नहीं है। और 90 मीटर का मैं पहले सोचता था कि मुझे मार्क वो अचीव करना है, लेकिन अभी मेरा मानना है कि आप कंसिस्टेंट हो और उस सिचुएशन में जहाँ पे बाकी भी एथलीट इतने वर्ल्ड क्लास एथलीट होते हैं और हम वहाँ पे उनके बीच में अगर वहाँ पे गोल्ड जीत लें, क्योंकि ऐसे बहुत सारे एथलीट्स हैं जो मुझसे बेस्ट हैं ऑलरेडी वर्ल्ड में, लेकिन उस सिचुएशन में हम कैसे उस प्रेशर को हैंडल करते हैं और कैसे परफॉर्म करते हैं, क्योंकि वेदर का, हवा का बहुत फ़र्क पड़ता है हमारे गेम में। तो मुझे लगता है कि वो सबसे अच्छी चीज़ है। मैं बस अपने आप को कंसिस्टेंट रखना चाहता हूँ और 90 मीटर का मार्क भी हो ही जाएगा। हो जाता वो भी मैं लाइन से आधा मीटर पीछे था, अब तो अगली बार थोड़ा आगे से फेंक दूंगा।
थैंक यू।
चाहे महिला हो या एथलीट हो, दिमाग पे गोल्ड ही रहता है।
Thank you so much. Anurag ji, stay with me. Neeraj, thanks a lot. A big round of applause, please, for our Indian of the Year sports. I don't think it comes anything bigger than this.
It is said that an athlete cannot run with his money in his pockets. He must run with dreams in his heart and determination in his head. These hopes and dreams.
The Indian of the Year made a grand return after a 4-year hiatus, and it's broken and smashed all records. Packed to the rafters auditorium, the Darbar Hall at the Taj Palace, that was a venue for the Indian of the Year 2022, also saw huge amounts of engagement all across the digital space. It trended at #1 nationally for more than an hour. Allu Arjun's award speech has already got more than 1.3 lakh plus views on YouTube. Allu Arjun Neeraj Chopra Pushpa move has got more than nearly 18,000 views on Facebook. The external PR and media coverage by 18 Indian and global online channels is there for everyone to see. And of course, the viewer feedback has been phenomenal. We thank you for your constant support. 6 months, we are #1. And of course, with the Indian of the Year Awards 2022, you have helped us prove to the world that this is the platform and this is the destination to be. Now, we had a huge slew of ministers from the government who had also graced the event and very, very kindly agreed to present the awards to our champions, our Indian of the Year across 6 different categories. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari ji was also there. He's the Union Minister for Road Transport, and in a conversation with Chandra Srikanth, she talked about the future of cars alternative fuel cars on Indian roads. Have a look.
So you have to tell us, it's powered by hydrogen. It's powered by hydrogen, as you can see. Tell us about this vehicle, sir.
This is the first vehicle in the country which is on hydrogen. There are three types of hydrogen. One is petroleum hydrogen, that is coming from petroleum. Other is black hydrogen, that is coming from coal. So brown hydrogen is from petroleum. And this is the green hydrogen is from water and from organic waste. We can get methane and by that we get green hydrogen. So this is the first car. The name of the car is Mirai. Mirai in Hindi it means that Bhavishya. So I feel that the hydrogen car is the future of this country. We can get green hydrogen from sewage water and organic waste. Already municipal solid waste we can segregate, and by which we can make the green hydrogen, and we will export green hydrogen to the world. That is the dream.
Minister Gadkari clearly walking the talk, or rather driving the talk when it comes to renewable energy. As he said, green hydrogen is going to be the bhavishya for India. When do you see widespread adoption, sir, as far as this is concerned?
The process is already started. The green hydrogen mission is there, and I feel that in due course of time, we are in the process. Within a year, we will get the car, truck and buses on hydrogen, and 100% I am confident that our farmers will generate green hydrogen, and they will be not only annadata, they will be urjadata.
Right. Mr. Gadkari, just a couple of more questions before we take you inside. Yesterday you had also unveiled the opportunity for flex fuel in India. Can you take us through that? What kind of incentives?
The meaning of the flex fuel is, in place of petrol, we are using 100% bioethanol. The rate of the petrol is 120 rupees per kilometer and ethanol rate is 60 rupees per kilometer with the same mileage. And that is exactly at the same time that 1 liter of ethanol is also they are going to generate power. The 40% the vehicle will be on the power and 60% on the bioethanol. So the average it will be whatever we are taking 1 liter of petrol of 120 rupees, where by taking this consideration it will come to 25 rupees per liter petrol.
Right.
And it is cost effective, import substitute, pollution free and indigenous. It will be there because Toyota is going to manufacture this all type of car here, and all the other people also will start, and that will be really a golden era for the country. That we are our petroleum import is of 17 lakh crores, and the day will come that our farmers will generate the fuel, and that is to be a great thing for the rural agriculture and tribal India.
One question that all startups have: what incentives can we expect to boost battery charging and infrastructure in India?
Now for electric we don't need any concessions because already there is a waiting list now.
Right.
In the some of the electric car, there is a 1 year waiting list. So now there is no problem. When the volume is increased, cost is going to reduce.
Right. By when can we, in terms of the electrification target for Indian Railways, that's also something that's very high.
That is not with me. But regarding the automobile sector, now the future is for electric, ethanol, methanol, biodiesel, and even we can Parali, which is creating pollution problem for Delhi. We are making bio CNG and bio LNG from Parali, rice straw. And 1 ton of 5 ton of Parali is giving 1 ton of bio CNG and bio LNG, and the tractor and truck and buses will be run on that.
Last question, Mr. Gadkari. A lot of EV enthusiasts in India often ask about Tesla and Elon Musk. Where are the discussions there, sir?
We have got all type of brands. We don't have bother about anything. The people who want to manufacture here in India, they are all welcome.
Right.
But manufacturing somewhere in the other part of the world and taking market in India, it is not going to work.
Make in India, make for the world, and for, of course, the Indian market. That's the message. And even as he says, alternative fuels are here, and they are there here to stay. The first of the hydrogen and alternative fuel cars being driven by Mr. Gadkari himself. The other big star, along with a host of stars, was also one of our awardees, the Indian of the Year in the category of entertainment for 2022. Superstar, now a global superstar, Allu Arjun, who had a fantastic message to deliver. That about celebrating the diversity of India and of course his signature dialogue from Pushpa the Rise. We wind up on that note.
We are, it's unity in diversity. Each of us have our own regional language, but now it's so beautiful that all of us are stepping into this pan-India zone where, language is no big barrier. Cinema is celebrated all over. People are watching. We used to watch movies from the north. We never used to look at it as a very different cinema industry. We love north. We grew up watching north movies. We admired Hindi cinema, other cinema, Bengali cinema. And now even people are watching South films. So it's all a beautiful cross culture, and I think we're in the best times. I'm very glad we do have our differences, like ma'am was saying, that it's north, south. Yes, the beauty of this country is the diversity. But when this movie was made, it was celebrated by India. So we are all sons and daughters of the Indian film industry. So we're all proud that it is Indian cinema's victory. And we're so glad that we could service the country with entertainment in these tough times.
Sadhu, sadhu. Well said, sir. Well said.
Thank you. And Indian cinema, India, kabhi jhukega nahi. Thank you. I wanted to give it with a punch.
Sahi punch diya.
Thank you.
Good evening, hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Anusha Soni. The Supreme Court handed down a split verdict in the hijab matter. The two judges on the bench had divergent views. While the split verdict paves the way for a constitution of a larger bench, the ban on hijab by the Karnataka High Court remains effective, and that's the legal position right now. As a sharp, polarized debate pans out in the public sphere, the top court of the country will have to settle some important questions. First of all, what are the limits of individual freedom? To what extent can the state-run institutions curb upon religious expression, and whether the right to privacy and dignity is violated if Muslim girls are asked to remove their hijab in classrooms? We'll talk about all these aspects. First up, a special report.
There is no end to the hangama over hijab. 7 months after the Karnataka High Court upheld a government order banning hijab in educational institutes. Petitions challenging the hijab ban led to a split verdict in the Supreme Court. While one judge, Justice Hemant Gupta, dismissed the petitions, the other judge, Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia, was of a differing opinion. He said asking girls to take off their hijab is an attack on their privacy and dignity. He said that under the Indian constitutional scheme, wearing a hijab should be simply a matter of choice. It may or may not be a matter of essential religious practice, but it is still a matter of conscience, belief and expression. He said the government order and restrictions on hijab goes against value of fraternity and human dignity. The case has also to be seen in the perspective of the challenges already faced by a girl child in reaching her school. And are we making the life of a girl child any better by denying her education merely because she wears a hijab?
प्राइम मिनिस्टर से सबसे पहले मैं ये अपील करना चाहूँगी कि वो हमारे एजुकेशन को हम पे छोड़ दें और हमारे हिजाब को उसमें कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ना बने हमारा हिजाब, क्योंकि देखिए हिजाब हमारा राइट है और हमें इसको फॉलो करना है.
The matter will now be placed before the Chief Justice of India, who will constitute a larger bench to hear the case afresh. Till then, the hijab ban remains in place.
I expect the judgment. Definitely it will be in favor of Karnataka's rules and act. Whatever the rules and regulations which have been followed now will be valid till the judgment of the higher bench comes.
But many in the opposition are hoping for a more favourable order from a larger bench.
जो हाई कोर्ट का जजमेंट था मेरी राय में it was bad in law, bad in terms of its contents, or it had misused Quranic commentaries and translation. This has serious ramifications, should not have been allowed.
But at a time when women worldwide are demanding not to wear the hijab, can individual choice override institutional autonomy?
Well, let's take a look at the key pointers of this split verdict and how essentially the two judges on the bench, Justice Hemant Gupta and Justice Dhulia, differed in their opinions about this matter. Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia said that quashed the government order of the 5th